Everybody, Brian Neubert here from goldenblack.com, live in Mackey Arena for what I will assume be the last time this season. Purdue defeats Indiana 67-58 in the regular season finale, celebrating senior night for the cardboard cutouts in fine fashion. Purdue ends the season on a 5-game winning streak, wins its 9th straight over Indiana, clinches at least the number 4 seed to the Big Ten tournament. Could be as high as the 3, depending on how Iowa and Wisconsin turns out. Obviously a big deal for Purdue. There was a lot of stuff here that put Purdue in a situation here where they had a lot to play for, a lot more to play for than the opponent. I think you have to give Indiana a lot of credit for making Purdue sweat here, making Purdue work. I don't know if Purdue ever really sweat, but they did have to work. The respective trajectories of these two teams at this stage of the season, very different. Purdue has won 5 in a row now. Indiana has lost 5 in a row. Indiana has played its way out of the NCAA tournament. Purdue was playing for seeding to the Big Ten tournament, seeding to the NCAA tournament, all of that stuff. I think Purdue had everything on the line tonight, and really Indiana had nothing to lose. I think that can be a situation sometimes that can be toxic for a team, but you have to give Indiana a lot of credit for competing here. You have to give Purdue a lot of credit, of course, once again, for overcoming it, as they did against Wisconsin, as they've done time and again during this really surprising season for Purdue. The reality of it is, when we talk about Purdue peaking at the right time, so much of that has always been about its freshmen coming along. And when you look at what Zach Edey and Jaden Ivy did in this game, it's those two guys were the best 2 players in the game. And each of these teams also has a first-team All-Big Ten candidate at center, and it was Jaden Ivy and Zach Edey, 2 freshmen, who were the best players in this game. I think what you're seeing from Zach Edey is simply remarkable. As somebody pointed out, apparently, the last time Indiana beat Purdue, Zach Edey wasn't even playing basketball yet. That speaks to the extent of Purdue's winning streak here, but it also speaks to the short runway of basketball experience that Zach Edey had coming into the season, and here he is dominating crunch time in March Big Ten games. The last 2 games, Wisconsin, Indiana, he carried Purdue when Purdue needed to be carried. I don't know what to make of the fact that Trayvon Williams hasn't been, all that productive lately. The last 4 games, I think his peak is 11 points. I think it's a good news, bad news type of situation. The good news is Zach Edey can carry you when need be. Jaden Ivy can carry you when need be. The bad news is you'd like to know your first-team All-Big Ten guy is trending in a positive direction going into the most important games of the season. Be that as it may, people have had no answer for Zach Edey here the last 2 games. It looks, again, like non-conference season when that was simply novelty. That was like non-conference teams have no idea. They've never seen a Zach Edey before. They don't know what to do with him. But now it's, Wisconsin. Indiana's already seen him. Wisconsin hadn't seen him, but they've seen all the video in the world of him. They've seen him play other Big Ten teams. These 2 teams knew what they were getting into, and they couldn't stop him still. Just a really, really brilliant player for Purdue, having a brilliant season for Purdue, and has a very, very bright future in basketball. Obviously, he's been amazing. Jaden Ivy has been, again, I say this after every game, it seems like Jaden Ivey's just become a star. I mean, he's become that guy. Indiana's defense is built to shut down the dribble, and he still, what was he? He was so not used to having printed box scores in front of me this season that I can't remember how to read them. 6 of 9 from the floor. 5 of those would have been 2-point baskets, 17 points, 4 for 4 at the foul line. He did a good job off the dribble, did a good job attacking in transition. Just a real weapon for Purdue, just an absolute difference maker. He's that guy that when offense breaks down, give him the ball, he'll go do something. And those 2 guys, the last couple games, have been Purdue's 2 best players, I think. And you just look at the second half of this game, and you have, I think it's like the last 15 minutes, you got 2 points from somebody who wasn't freshman. Brandon Newman made big plays in the second half coming off the bench. The 3 he made was the biggest shot of the game. The assist that he then made to Jaden Ivy for another 3 was a huge play. Really helped keep IU at arm's length. Zach Edey, and Jaden Ivy did pretty much everything through the last 16 minutes of the game. Aaron Wheeler hit the 2 free throws. Those came off a pass from Zach Edey. because Indiana was overcompensating probably to try to stop him, which they still couldn't do, as a lot of people couldn't do. And just you got carried by freshmen. And, you know, the story of your season was your juniors had to be better. They had to set a tone, but your freshmen had to be ready right away. And I don't know if you could have asked for a better case scenario for Purdue to unfold than has unfolded during this Big Ten regular season. As Painter astutely pointed out, you know, had you played the Nebraska game, you probably finish up 14-6. 14-6 won the Big Ten last year. And this was the ground floor of this team's development. Next year is the year because all the juniors presumably are back for their senior years. All the freshmen are even better, which, you know, is a scary proposition right now. But this is the ground floor of what Purdue's building here, and they went 14-6 in the toughest, or they went 13-6 in the toughest conference in America. They played with a maturity and a readiness that belied their collective age, and they just had a hell of a season. The season's not over, obviously. You know, Purdue goes to the Big Ten tournament, the NCAA tournament, you know, from here on out, but they've had a hell of a season. Regardless how this ends up, they've had a hell of a season, clearly. And the best is almost certainly yet to come. To the Indiana part of this, I'm not really sure what to add up here, or what to add on to all of this. But, you know, Purdue is just in a much better place right now than Indiana, obviously. I don't need to tell any of you that. I certainly don't need to tell anyone who follows Indiana that. But, you know, Purdue's got better players. I mean, that's the reality of this, is that, you know, people always look at Purdue like they're the team that does more with less. Well, now they're doing more with more because Purdue has better players this year than Indiana, than Michigan State, than a bunch of other teams in the league, Wisconsin. They didn't have the experience, but the experience hasn't mattered. I think Purdue is in the top third of the Big Ten talent-wise, to be honest with you. I think they're right up there with Illinois, right up there with Michigan, and not all that far behind those teams. Purdue has just put together a really nice team here, and it is so far advanced in terms of what it can be that, you know, I don't really know how else to say that the future, you know, around here should be pretty radiant. I wasn't going to just say bright and get off the hook with a simple word, radiant. That's what I got. I know that's a pretty lame rap video, but I mean, I don't think the outcome really, you know, surprised anyone. This is kind of one of those games where the deck was really stacked against Indiana. Purdue was the better team anyway, and the outcome was sort of a foregone conclusion. Indiana walked into a really tough spot here today. The trajectory they're on, the injuries they have, again, you have to give them a lot of credit for competing, you know, for answering Purdue time and again when it looked like Purdue was going to blow this open and win by 15, 16, 17, 19. I can count all night, 20 points. But you have to give Indiana a lot of credit. You have to give Purdue even more credit for overcoming it, as they've done all season long, against regardless of who it is. Just a really remarkable season Purdue's had, again, with the best probably yet to come. I will talk to you again from the Big Ten tournament if I can find a place to do these videos there. I have no idea how that's going to work, but the Big Ten tournament's up next. I want to thank our sponsor once again, the Purdue Union Club Hotel. If you're coming into town for the NCAA tournament, please keep them in mind. I have no idea if they have vacancies or not, so I shouldn't just say that without knowing, but fantastic place, the newly reinvented Purdue Union Club Hotel. Please keep them in mind. Thank you for watching, thank you for reading, thank you for listening, and thank you for processing our materials, however it is you process our materials. If it seemed like I was in a hurry, it was because I was. Because as I said before, I think it might have been one of the scrap takes from before. They're starting to convert the arena now for the NCAA tournament. There's commotion all over the place. The fire alarm or something was going off before. I had to fit this into a narrow window, and it looks like I got it done. So good for me. Thanks, everybody.